Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to look at what we need to do to actually take good air show pictures at air shows. And in the second part of this video I will cover post-production using Luminary Neo of our air show pictures. So for me, getting a tack sharp image of the aircraft is critical. Not an easy task considering the aircraft's moving 400, 500, 600 miles an hour, but you need to get a tack sharp image to get a good photo, which is not only going to require good focusing, but also a fast shutter speed. So most of my shutter speeds on my images are at 1/1000th of a second or faster. So this image is a perfect example. From this amount of zoom, just from how I shot it, this image looks fine, but if we zoom in on it, you can see that the image is slightly blurred. You can't quite make out the pilot or the crew chief's name on there. And if we look at the next image that I shot in this series, this image looks nice and sharp whenever it's zoomed out. And if we zoom in, it's also nice and crisp whenever we zoom in. We can actually read the aircraft commander and the crew chief's name on the aircraft. So this is kind of what you're looking for. The world's not perfect. You're not always going to get it, but this is kind of the resolution we should strive for on their aircraft pictures. Now, the exception to this rule, and there's always an exception, are propeller and rotary wing aircraft. A lot of people don't like images that they can't see a propeller blur. So there's two ways you can go about this. You can either use a lower shutter speed and hope that you get the focus, or you can actually shoot the high speed, freeze the propeller blades, and then go through in post-production, use Photoshop and add some propeller blur. Now this photograph is a good segue into the next thing I want to talk about, which is composition. Whenever you shoot your aircraft, with a few exceptions, a picture of an aircraft, the bottom of the aircraft never really is going to look that good. So you can see here, I am below the aircraft, but I'm shooting up. I can see into the cockpit, and I'm shooting kind of slightly off on the front left-hand quarter of this aircraft. And so that kind of makes a decent image. Same thing with this F-35. I'm slightly off on his front right-hand side. I am down towards the bottom of the aircraft, but he's got his landing gear down. He's hovering, but I can still see the cockpit. So I like that picture. I think that's a good composition there as well. I think my best compositions, though, are actually whenever you're above the aircraft. And this is actually possible in air show, especially with fast-moving aircraft like F-16s, F-35s. Usually the pilot is going to make a run across the crowd line, and he's going to bank his aircraft. So the top of the aircraft is facing the crowd, and this is your opportunity to get this kind of picture where it appears that you're above the aircraft. And here's another example with the Italian Fricke Tricolori. So I am on their back left-hand side quarter. They're actually rolling in towards the crowd, so I appear like I'm above them. And this is also a good example of taking a picture of an aircraft team where you have all the aircraft grouped in nice and tight together so you can get a picture of all of them. Now, I know you can't control the weather, but we're always looking for a sunny day when we're at our air show so we can get good lighting. You want the light to be above. You don't want the light to backlight the aircraft. And usually these air shows, they don't start flying till later in the day, so the sun's high in the sky, and that works out really well. If they fly a little later into the evening, you're going to be looking on how you need to adjust on the runway that they're flying over so you can get the best lighting as possible for your pictures. Now let's take a look at this aircraft here. This is the one we're going to be working on Luminary Neo. It's a British Typhoon. Whenever we work on these photographs, we have the aircraft in the center here, and then in the background we have the sky, and those are our real two elements that we're going to have to work with. So we're looking at wanting to bring the details out on the aircraft and kind of do whatever we need to do with the sky. Sometimes it's going to be blown out if I'm using single metering on the aircraft, so I'm trying to expose the aircraft correctly. The sky might not be exposed correctly, and I might have to come back in and do something with it. And so generally I'm just going to make some minor changes to make this work for me. Now let's take a look at this British Typhoon and its nice Union Jack airshow colors here. So this is the one we looked at initially, and it's nice and sharp. So what we're dealing with is we have really two elements here. We have the aircraft where we want to bring out details, and then we have the sky over here that we need to deal with. And so normally when I'm taking pictures, I'm using a single mode metering. I'm focusing on the aircraft to make sure I get the exposure right on the aircraft, which means sometimes the sky is not going to be exposed correctly, and so we're going to have to go through and fix that. And also, if we're shooting into the sky, if we have any dust particles on our sensor, they're going to show up. So you're going to want to watch for the dust particles. Normally what I do is I'll zoom in pretty close and I just start looking around the picture. And that might be a bit excessive for some of you, but that's kind of where I go. I mean, some of you might just look, and if you see something at 100%, you're going to go ahead and fix it. And if not, you're not going to worry about it. All right, so going back and editing the aircraft. So what we need to do is we need to mask the Typhoon and then have a mask for the sky so we can do our edits. Now, sometimes Luminar does pretty good as far as doing the masking, and other times not so well. So what I'm going to do is if I come in here into Develop Raw, or hold on. Actually, what I'm going to do is come down to Structure AI. And if I come over here to masking, what I can do is I can click on Mask AI. And, you know, you would hope that it will come up and find the aircraft. It's pretty simple task here with the contrast between the aircraft and the sky. So it comes back up, right? And it shows me it has sky. And if I click on sky, it should show me, and it did. It masked the sky out, but I'm not perfect along the aircraft, but maybe I'm okay with that. Let's see what else we got. We have man-made things. Does it come up with, yep, there's, I'm not sure where it keyed on that because that's just sky. And if I click on transport, well, it's got the aircraft, but it didn't quite do it like I wanted it to. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is straighten up this mask. And so we go back and come out of AI masking over on the right, and we're going to select the brush tool, and we're going to use erase. And let me go back over. We're going to come down to actions, and we're going to tell it to show because we want to see the mask that we have on there. Back into the brush, we're on erase, and so in this case I'm just going to have to zoom in. So I'm going to straighten and just I'll go and change this. I'm going to bring the softness down and the brush size down, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this up onto the aircraft just a hair. And the reason I do that is whenever you come back through and start doing your edits and adjusting the sky down, you don't want it to look like there's a halo around the aircraft. And so what we do is you try to get it as close as you can, but if you're going to let it bleed over, you want it to bleed over into the aircraft. Okay, so we've got our mask all set up. Now what we can do, because we're going to use this mask in a variety of other places, we're going to come back in and come out of the brush, and we're going to copy this mask. And I'll show you why. So in here, we're going to go back into our structure adjustments. And whenever I'm doing this, I like to zoom in to kind of see what I'm getting on the aircraft. And I'm going to bring this structure up a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of boost to it, but not too much. And then I'm going to come down so I can show you. I mean, this is without. Okay. Now I'm going to come back into details, and I'm going to come into masking, and I'm going to go into mask actions, and I'm going to paste this mask in here. And now if I show the mask, I'm using this same mask. And so I'm going to come back in and go back to my adjustments using this mask. And I'm going to just do the large details up a little bit and the medium details up a little bit. But I'm not going to crank the small details up a lot, because that's going to, what that's going to do is it's going to make the aircraft look noisy on there. Because I mean, I'm shooting at a higher ISO, but it'll bring up a lot more stuff on the fuselage that I really don't want to have brought up on here. And I will add some sharpening. Okay. And then I'm gonna come over to develop, and if I need to do anything here, I mean, I can bring the highlights down, or if I think I need to do that, which I don't think I really need to do, so I'm just going to bring that back up. But I could bring the exposure up just a hair, and I think in that's probably, I might be pretty happy. Let me go back in on this again. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more contrast, but not a lot, just a hair onto there. And so I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, so if you wanted to, you could go in and add curves. I'm not going to do it on this one because the aircraft is actually looking pretty sharp as it is, and I don't really need to add any more saturation or anything because those colors look really good. The picture's saturated pretty good. Okay, so now what I'm going to go back and do is come back into masking, and I've got all my edits I want to do on my aircraft right now finished, and I'm going to go back into mask. I've already copied it, so I'm going to come back out, copy it, and then I'm going to go back up to, I'm going to come down here to landscape. I'm going to go masking again. I'm going to paste my mask in here, show it. But now I want to actually basically adjust my sky. So I'm going to invert the mask. So now it's actually around the aircraft, but not on the aircraft. And I'm going to come back out to my adjustments, and you can use exposure and drop your sky down. Normally what I like to do is just add in some dehaze to the sky. And I kind of like that. That looks okay. So with. And so if you notice on the bottom of the screen, it's making it a little wider because there were some clouds, faint clouds back in there, where the top of the picture, it's just dropping it down. Now, if I were to come back up into my develop tab, add another mask in there, paste this one in there, and then invert it, show. Now, if I were to drop the sky down using the exposure, I would get something like this, and that's not really what I'm after on here. So as you can see, I mean, I just want to drop the sky down just a hair. The sky's not really the main focus of the picture, right? It's the aircraft. So I'm focused most of my edits on the aircraft, and that is what I've got. So that's the Typhoon done. Now, we talked before how sometimes you get a picture. Then we had our other Typhoon. Oh, one more thing before I get flipping over here. So you may want to go through, come down to vignette, and choose your subject, which is right here in the middle, and I might want to add a little vignette. And so you can crank that down to kind of get the sizing to where you want it. I want something like that. Maybe I want to bring that up, so I'll choose, choose my subject. I'm gonna really just bring it up just a hair, I think, yeah. And now I'm going, so I cranked it all the way down so I can see where the vignette is at, and I'm gonna really bring it down to maybe 30 or so, and it's not gonna be where you're gonna, it's not gonna stand completely out to you. I can add a little bit more feathering into this. I could add more inner light, but I don't really want to do that on this one. I can adjust the roundness here, but I think I might bring it out just a little bit, but then I'm going to bring it back down. I don't want it to be a huge vignette, just a touch, just to, you're already having your eye drawn into the center of the photograph because of the aircraft, and this just adds a little bit to it. So that's the Typhoon done. Now, we talked before about when sometimes, this one's really nice and sharp. But what happens if you get a picture, you're not getting pictures that are completely sharp, and you want to kind of work with that photograph anyway. So let's go back and look at our original Typhoon. This one here that is slightly, it's not completely sharp. And so to fix this, what we can do is we'll go into our edit, and then we come down here on the right to SuperSharp AI, and we can go through, and there's a couple different options. We're not going to do motion blur. We want to do universal. We're not going to use the face enhancer, and let's do like a middle. And so it's not like a slider. You have to just go through and select the parts you want to do on this. And normally we would use a mask because, once again, we only want to sharpen the aircraft. And there you go. So it makes the aircraft a little sharper, so we can do it low. And that might be enough to make a picture that I normally wouldn't use usable. So that's, let's go ahead and see what this looks like on low. So you have a low, middle, and high setting. There's a face enhancer you can use, but you can see, if we go back and turn this off versus when we turn it on, I'm looking here at the name of the aircraft commander and the crew chief, and you can see on, off, on, off. It does make that a little bit more sharp, but then I'm looking here, it's actually on the identification marking for the RAF here on the side of the fuselage. It actually makes that a little fuzzier. So you would definitely want to mask the parts of the aircraft that you wanted to apply this to, that it's working well. So let's try high just to see what that looks like. And so we have it on and off, on and off. And to be fair, I don't see an incredible amount. Now, looking at the pilot through the cockpit, the SuperSharp AI actually brings him out in the cockpit a little bit more, I think. So I might, go and use that and mask it off for the cockpit. And maybe over here where the crew chief and the aircraft commander's name are at. And even on the canard, the Union Jack on the canard looks a little sharper with that on. So SuperSharp AI would give you the opportunity to fix your photo of your aircraft if you didn't quite get it tack sharp. And it's still not tack sharp, but it's better than what it was. Okay, and the last thing I want to cover is if we look here at our Tricolore, we have smoke coming out, and this smoke actually is standing out really well. But if you want it to enhance it a little bit more, I think what you're going to end up doing is coming in to tools, you're going to probably come down here to structure AI, and I would just do a mask. And in this case, I'm just, for this demo, I'm just going to do a quick brush mask. Fill. So I filled the entire screen with a mask. And what I'm going to do now is come out and select my brush. I'm going to choose erase. I'm just going to erase these aircraft out of my masking, and then the rest of the sky, because I only want the parts of the sky that has the smoke in it. Okay. And I can zoom it down just a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to leave that like it is. But now if I come back out to my adjustments and then I start to crank this over, you can see that if I crank it over, it brings that smoke out a lot more detail, or I can soften it if I want to and make it look, more misty, or I can harden it and make it look more detailed. So that's how you would bring the smoke out. This will also work if there is, if he's got his afterburner lit and you get those shock waves that come out the back, it'll help bring those out a little bit more as well. Anyway, that's your aircraft editing using Luminary Neo. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a favor, hit the like button down below. And if you'd like to see more, go ahead and hit subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Take care.